Hey, what's up guys, Aarava here, and welcome back to the episode of my F1 2019 career mode, episode number 41 today for the USA Grand Prix in Season 2. If you guys didn't miss the previous one at the Mexican Grand Prix, then be sure to go check that one out before you see this one. Heading into USA then, we thought we were going to maybe have a championship lead over Hamilton after how Mexico was meant to turn out, but going into USA, we have a deficit still to climb back on Hamilton. Going into this one, Mercedes improve, Red Bull improve as well, and we're still kind of halfway through in the R&D chart. Renault continue to make upgrades somehow. I don't know how they can even afford all these upgrades, but they're still improving there and continue to build that kind of lead they have on paper to Williams and Toro Rosso, who maintain a bonkers third place there, along with Williams in second place. But USA typically has been quite a difficult circuit. The AI are very consistent around here, especially on tyre as well. We've done tyre upgrades this season. We did a further minor tyre upgrade going into this episode then, so that should help us out a lot, I think. There's going to be no rain forecast for the entire weekend, so it will be a straight dry pace fight, quali and the race. And with that added tyre wear, I think we can have a much better Grand Prix maybe than what we had last time in the history of the F1 games here at COTA. So let's go out there, let's make up for what should have been at Mexico here at USA. Let's go to Saturday.
We're expecting qualifying to start any minute here in Austin, Texas, where drivers will be hoping to top the timesheets today and be ready for tomorrow's US Grand Prix. I want to talk briefly about the strategy in these qualifying sessions. Anthony Davidson, how can a driver adjust their approach to gain those critical extra tenths of a second?
Well, qualifying isn't about adjusting your approach necessarily, it's more about trying to repeat a low fuel run that you've practiced prior to this session. You're looking for perfection on the lap, and that's hard to achieve if you're trying something new. There are some variables that can stand in your way, however. Track position or unexpected yellow flags, for example. Coupled with ever-changing track conditions, it's important to be out there at the right moment. But as a driver, you have to try and ignore these distractions and just keep your mind focused on that one perfect lap.
Start of qualifying here at USA, unfortunately wasn't as easy and as smooth sailing as I wanted it to. A really poor first lap there sees us in P12 and down in P14 at the very start. Need to improve just to make sure we don't get knocked out in Q1 in a bit of a shock horror there. We do eventually make it into Q2 with a much better lap time, but needing 2 laps there. Did use the same set of tyres though, so we didn't burn an extra set that we did need to burn, but it was just still not a great way to start there. But Devin Butler with some calamity there in qualifying for him down in P20, so I don't know what went on there. The man who was fighting at one point for the race lead in Mexico is out of Q1, so I'm not too sure if he just had some sort of mistake, held up, or whatever the case. So one less Toro Rosso to worry about maybe in the Q3 slot potentially as we go in Q2, trying to go into that third qualifying session here. At the moment, Lucas Weber doing the job out in front in the Renault, surprise, surprise. But for us, just trying to keep it nice and tidy and do a much better lap than we did in Q1 that first time of asking there. But a few lockups here and there might just slow us down a little bit. Another lock up in the last corner, trying to turn in this car with a bit of understeer I'm getting at the moment so far in qualifying, but up into P6, and thankfully that is enough. That can just get us into Q3. Just we're P10, so on the cusp of making it through. Raikkonen with some better pace, so we've got some time to find compared to Kimi. Hamilton's through as well, and actually looking pretty damn strong in P3 there, although the likes of Gasly being up there and Verstappen down below in P4 suggests that maybe there's still some track evolution to happen, and also with that's not the full kind of running order, otherwise we might be in trouble if Hamilton can qualify all the way up in the second row and we're down here in P10. Let's see Q3 then as the sun goes down. Maybe the car can start to grip in a little bit more. I'm not too sure. Another lock up there and we go wide, and we have to just lift off there not to go a little bit too wide and go complete off circuit and extend the track there a little bit tight on the curb. Then we've got Hamilton actually right up my chuff behind me, and despite being held up pretty much potentially by me on that lap, he sets a faster time than me. And so right now P9, not a great lap time, but that was a scrub set, I believe. I think that was on that first run, or just an extra set I had. So we do have a second fresh set to use in Q3. The track going faster and faster we go through the day, and so we set a purple first sector, so looking a lot better. Green second sector, this is exactly what we need, but Raikkonen's down in P9, so maybe the car just doesn't have pace here in the top 10 shootout. Across the line, it's a big improvement for us, and we're up into P5, and we're going to be just behind Lewis Hamilton. In the end, Raikkonen, very poor performance there in Q3 to be down in P10, but myself and Hamilton, we just just can't, seem to separate each other, basically. It's really great to see, actually, in the last 3 rounds here, last 4, 5 rounds, we've been always so close together in qualifying and the races, and it's great to see for this title fight. So for the third last time in this season there, close stuff in quali. Myself and Lewis very close to each other on the grid. Hopefully no grid penalties for myself or Hamilton, and we can just have a good straight fight here at USA. But Hamilton, it's a favourite circuit of his, Kota, so we'll see where it goes. But like I said, hopefully that tyre wear upgrade can help us out in the race tomorrow. Let's go to the grid, see how it shakes out.
In 2012, America's on-again, off-again love affair with Formula One finally seemed to settle down with the completion of this wonderful racing facility here in Texas. Since then, we've been treated to some incredible races, including, of course, that classic wet-dry championship decider of 2015. We're racing today then in Travis County, Texas, around the 20 corners of the wonderful Circuit of the Americas. We'll be reaching speeds of around 200 miles an hour, and there are plenty of good opportunities to pass, especially through the 2 DRS zones into turn 1 and the very long back straight into turn 12. Anthony Davidson also joins me in the commentary box today. Now I want to ask you about Lewis Hamilton. Everything's on the line here today and the title hangs in the balance. So how do you think they'll be coping with all that pressure?
I think as long as they keep their mind on the task and not its historical significance, they'll be just fine. This is a race just like any other. You do the best you can and accept that sometimes things are going to happen outside of your control. If they can approach today with that attitude, the pressure shouldn't be a problem.
Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's race. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he starts from pole position. And starting alongside is Lucas Faber. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have the engineer, Bottas, Nico Hülkenberg, and Perez, Raikkonen, Albon, Norris, and Roman Grosjean, Gasly, Giovinazzi, Lewis Hamilton, and Magnussen, Ricciardo, Stroll, Charles Leclerc, and George Russell. Butler and Sebastian Vettel starts from the back of the grid. Now it's almost time to lights out, so let's go down to the track.
So a big bit of news and development for this race and also the entire title fight. Lewis Hamilton with a grid penalty down to P13. So that is going to be major for us today to get some good points and maybe finally get a lead in this championship going into the last 2 rounds, Brazil and Abu Dhabi. But for Hamilton's sake, he's going to be hoping that's his final grid penalty and he's all clear and clean for Brazil and Abu Dhabi. To be fair, it makes more sense to take a penalty now or Brazil compared to Abu Dhabi. Actually, probably especially now compared to Brazil even, because USA, you got that long back straight. Brazil, known for dirty air as well in Sector 2, so probably the best place out of the 3 rounds remaining to take a grid penalty. But for us, that makes things a bit easier. We're elevated all the way up to P3 now, so maybe we can't, basically we're elevated to where we should have been at Mexico. So is this a good omen then? We're P3, where we were meant to be, took the penalty in Mexico, didn't end up with any points at Mexico, so maybe we can try and play big and try and finish, well, dare I say it, maybe even a podium. That would be quite a big, tasty offering, but I know the Toro Rosso is going to be good, and as well as the likes of Williams, obviously Renault probably booking out the top 2 places, but, we've got Bottas, Hamilton's teammate alongside us, so that will also be something to worry about as well. He wasn't in the Mexico fight, as he was well out of the way in early kind of takeout there at Mexico qualifying, so let's just see how this race goes, but we've been given a very good chance now to take the lead of the championship, and we need to book this one in after not making the most of it at Mexico. So here we go then in Austin, Texas for the 3rd last round of this season, the USA Grand Prix. We go to 5 red lights, and we're underway from P3 on the grid. Great start there from Lucas Weber. Verstappen very slow off pole position. The 2 Renaults side by side to turn 1. Bottas with a massive dive bomb, and Bottas has gone for the lead there with a triple overtake into turn 1. Bottas on the outside, Weber, Verstappen's been overtaken. Bottas just about manages to keep the lead there into the S section. We had to let off the throttle not to smash his rear end there, but Weber comes back in the second phase of the S section on the outside, but the next right-hander, surely Bottas has the inside line for the next left there, and Weber is pushed out, and that Mercedes car is in the race lead. So thankfully that's not Hamilton. That could have easily been Lewis Hamilton making a dive bomb to the inside there if he was up here, but of course with that grid penalty he's down in the traffic, and so we've made the most of that. We're up into P3 then, as Bottas helped us out with a massive kamikaze dive, allowed Verstappen to be pushed wide, and so we're up ahead of the Dutchman in P3, but Weber is coming through for a pass in a straight line. That Renault mighty quick in a straight now, but but Bottas just does enough to defend against Lucas Weber, my old F2 teammate. And now we have a little chance to maybe go around the outside. We sniff around with our nose, but it's not going to work out. Weber now still trying to fight for the lead. Those two side by side. Can I catch them napping? We're going to try it. It's the double dive with side by side with Bottas. Bit of contact maybe with his side pod, and he gets the better of us and cuts in. But we're up into P2 now. So I've taken a leaf out of Bottas's book there. Basically, that corner, the left hand, just thought, you know what, may as well send it to the inside, make it 3 wide. Why not? And we nearly made it completely work there. But we're up into P2 then. Unlikely scenes here with the two Renaults being done on the first lap of the Grand Prix. But Weber will come back at us now. Down the inside, we take it nice and easy there on medium ERS. We try to go for the switchback move to maybe fight him a little bit. But in reality, there is no point fighting Weber. There's no point fighting Verstappen either too much there. So Verstappen down the inside. We're on lower ERS modes. May as well let him through because it's an inevitability. It is a fact. These Renaults will overtake Bottas and they will get into a 1-2. I just need to try and keep on the back of Verstappen and try and use him basically as a bit of a toe and a bit of a lead to try and catch up back to Bottas, as Bottas does get overtaken by Lucas Weber and the Finn is back down to P2 then. He is the man I'm fighting today for that P3 slot. 1 and 2 will be Renault. That is inevitable, unfortunately, right now at this stage of this season. Now, I'm really hoping for Season 3 Renault aren't this dominant going into that season, otherwise we might have a bit of an interesting one to say the least in Season 3 if these two are this quick next year. Who knows, obviously, with the driver transfers and the winter season and whatnot, and all the way up and down the field, I'm sure things will change quite a fair bit in Season 3. But enough about that. We're still focused on Season 2. We've still got 3 rounds to go, and we've still got a job to do here at Texas, here at the USA GP. Here we go now, flying with DRS open on lap number 6, overtaking Bottas here for P3. What did I say? It was going to be inevitable. The two runners got through, and that's the fight we're focused on. Bottas up into P3. Verstappen fast after the Grand Prix, chasing after his teammate, but they are going into the sunset as we now go on lap 7 into the pit lane for maybe a bit of an earlier stop than you might think, but I was really feeling a bit of tyre wear there on the soft tyres. So despite the tyre upgrades, still feeling the effects of the bad abrasion here around Kota, so needing to go to mediums, but I think the undercut will be quite powerful around here as well, and here's hoping the mediums can be way more consistent than the soft tyres around this circuit for me. In terms of our race though so far, all things good considering where we are really, fighting Bottas for 3rd place perhaps, and Hamilton yet to really see where he is. I'm not sure if he's got into the bottom of the points yet. I'm sure eventually he will, being a Mercedes car, unless he hits a massive amount of traffic. And there, speaking of Hamilton, there's the first time I've seen his name tag there, so looks like he might still be in a bit of traffic there amongst the Red Bull and the McLaren guys there. But we're up into P11. Verstappen has made his pit stop already, out ahead of us in P10. Still got that fast lap of the Grand Prix. Hulkenberg looks like he might be sniffing around our fight here, because he's actually not too far off us on track behind us, as there goes Bottas there, and he's had a bit of a calamity then in the pit stop phase. They're up into lap number 10, up into P5, and no sign of Bottas there. Hulkenberg remains behind us. I think that was Bottas still well in the pit lane actually, so not too sure what's gone on there. Massive amount of tyre wear potentially for him. Hit the cliff, not too sure, but up into P3 then on lap 11. Hulkenberg is maintaining that P4, so the Racing Point car on a lofty P4. Kimi is pit for a 2nd time now. Very early there, that was that indicator on the heads-up display, and this is why then a replay camera, Toro Rosso coming through there, of Albon I think this is, and he slows, and it's a massive hit from Raikkonen on the front right there, and you can see the chunk of front wing that's come off his end plate, and so Hamilton down the inside, and so that's Hamilton into, I think, maybe around the top 7 or 8, I would say, as Raikkonen has a huge train behind him there, and has to go for that 2nd early pit stop there. So my teammate's completely been punted out of this Grand Prix then, contention for any sort of points with that damage. The Toro Rosso there probably should get a penalty of some sort. I mean, obviously, I think he looked like he's DNFing at the Grand Prix, but really poor form to park it up there or slow down. It's such a crucial point in the racing line there. So meanwhile, yeah, Hamilton is behind then 2 McLaren's Racing Point, and then it's myself. So Hamilton's only about 3-4 places off myself, so he's done pretty well to recover there, but we've still got this 3rd place, and at the moment Hulkenberg is the only one challenging me, and even though he's looking pretty quick, I know that Racing Point car should be good in a straight line, I feel like I should be more comfortable defending against Hulkenberg than I was against Bottas here, who is now no longer in this fight with us. But here comes Hulkenberg now on the right-hand side. We go defensive to the left. It's going to be a side-by-side battle as Hulkenberg does well to pull it around the outside. He's got the advantage, actually. It's going to force us to go the long way round on the next right-hander, and it's a very tricky place to make the pass stick. We have to try and get the traction down as early as we can. Thankfully, Hulkenberg backs out that and actually doesn't get the traction I thought he would do, and we're able to maintain that actually pretty easily on the exit then. I thought for sure he's going to keep that in on the outside, but we're going to say a box in this lap now. Lap 16, we've already got to the second phase of the race then, basically, where you might have not noticed, actually, because I didn't actually mention where we were in the race order, but it was quite a few laps until Hulkenberg actually caught up to me, and that was maybe a reason why he was attacking me. The tyre wear was kicking in a little bit already on the mediums, but now we go to the second set of mediums to the end of the Grand Prix. So the race has actually flown by, really, because after that first pit stop, after the incident with Kimi and the Toro Rosso, for my race, nothing was really happening, actually. Just trying to go around in P3, maintain the pace, eventually lost some pace, and that was when you saw Hulkenberg come and fly and attack us there on lap 16. So it's gone by in quite a jiffy, and so we're on to the third and last stint of this GP now, onto another set of mediums there, closing up. We might have a bit of traffic, actually, as we go through then. Yes, we will, of Antonio Giovinazzi in the Haas car. The Italian, can we try and overtake him? Tempted to make a dive, but we're a little bit too far back there, but maybe on the next right-hander we can do that on the kind of double, triple right-hander. Easy does it there on the entry, as Giovinazzi doesn't give us too much room. But on this second phase, on this second right, we're able to do it on the outside, but he pushes us wide a little bit, gets the elbows out, and so the Italian is putting up quite a fair fight into the last corner. He's still there. I'm still trying to give him the room, because he's very much obviously alongside us enough to warrant the room, and so we eventually get it done. P16 up into now P12 as we make some overtakes in the people in the pit lane, and so we'll get through eventually. And so this is now Lewis Hamilton making his second stop of the afternoon onto hard tyres, that is, and he comes out, you can see there, very close to one Hulkenberg and myself as well now from our racing car. So Hamilton has silently come back into this Grand Prix, and it's not too far off me now as Hulkenberg goes for an attack into turn one. We try and squeeze him to the inside, doesn't work out. You have to go on the outside of turn one, little bit of a squeeze on the outside there, some contact made. Hulkenberg keeps his foot in, as do I, into the run up of the S section. We've got the inside line, got the bigger balls to keep the throttle in, and we get that position back there. But Hulkenberg is not giving up now as we get to lap 22. 6 laps to go in this Grand Prix. A third attack from Hulkenberg now in this Grand Prix. To the inside he goes. We've locked up on the front left. That will see us go wide, and Hulkenberg has that advantage there, and we just can't make a dive on that right-hander, so have to stick behind him for now. Meanwhile, Norris is the car behind us, so thankfully Lando Norris has overtaken Hamilton in the McLaren there, and so keeps the buffer to one car at least between myself and Hamilton. At this stage, this wouldn't be enough, I don't think, to overhaul Hamilton in the points. This might, though, if we can overtake Hulkenberg and confirm it, and if Hamilton stays put behind Norris and Hulkenberg, that might just be enough to overtake him in the championship. We'll see, but we've done the move now. But Hulkenberg comes back at us there, and he's going to go for a move to the inside again. We go very aggressive there, and behind you can see Hamilton being attacked by a Red Bull, so he's going further back down the order, so that's very good news for me as we maintain the position against the German, and Hamilton might now just be 3 cars behind us, not just 2, and so it's kind of maybe a reoccurrence of what happened in Mexico, but this time hopefully without the gearbox issue for me. But no, Hamilton does maintain that position over the Red Bull car, but still 2 cars behind. I don't know the maths exactly, but that might be enough to see us getting to the lead of the championship going to Brazil, but it's not over yet. Lap 27, we're going towards the inside line to cover off the inside from Hulkenberg. Just a little bit wary because that Racing Point car is really quite aggressive on the brakes there as Hulkenberg gets the nose in. We just maintain that position, and thankfully for me, the pressure is taken off because Norris then goes and overtakes Hulkenberg. I kick the car up into high gear, rich mix, burn all the fuel I have left, all the ERS I have left on the last lap of the Grand Prix, and whilst I do that, Norris attacks Hulkenberg, and so that's going to build a gap for me to breathe, and so these two go side by side, and Norris, just about gets cut off there and can't quite make the move for P4 in this Grand Prix, and so we'll have to stick behind the German. But you can see that mega train now that's being formed by Hulkenberg, Norris, Hamilton, then you've got the Red Bull, not too sure which one it is, and then a Toro Rosso car, so Hamilton might be feeling the pressure on the last lap of the Grand Prix. For me, not feeling any pressure at all whatsoever. That's really helped me out as we go through now the last few corners of this GP. Max Verstappen wins yet again in this season now in the Renault. It's another 1-2 for Renault, surprise, surprise, but we come home now in a very long overdue podium, I think. 3rd place. It's going to be a fantastic 3rd place for us compared to where Hamilton is, and that's going to be a massive win for us in the championship fight.
Yes, we're on the podium. Good job this weekend, great drive, thank you.
It was a magnificent race and a drive right out of the top draw to take the win for Renault. Anthony Davidson, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
Well, they certainly stood out as a driver with tons of confidence on the track. I think their ability to keep their cool, even during some of the more hectic parts of the race, meant they were able to capitalise on the mistakes of other drivers, giving them the opportunity to make their way to the top spot with ease.
Once again, it's podium time, and once again, it's a clear win for Renault. Renault have seen their fair share of success in Formula 1, and today is proof that they've still got what it takes to thrill us all. Congratulations to everyone on the team.
So the final race results confirms it then. Third place, 15 points for us, and Hamilton gets 8. And so that's a big 7 points for us there. It was a 6-point deficit going into this round. So we now lead the World Drivers' Championship once again, but by only 1 measly point. You know, that's the difference of 1 fastest lap. But thankfully for us, I think the Renaults are going to always get the fast lap of the Grand Prix. So in a way, I'm very, very thankful the Renaults are so dominant right now. Like I said, it made things interesting for myself and Hamilton, the fight, because we can both rarely get the big points of 25 and 18 maybe, because of the Renaults, and we can now not even get the fast lap Grand Prix 1 extra point here. So it is really going to go down to fine margins of race positions in Brazil and Abu Dhabi there. But that's been a fantastic USA GP, made up for the calamity we had at Mexico pretty much, and you know, just basically just tries to reverse that essentially. That's what we should have done at Mexico. We probably should have been on for minimum P4, maybe P3, you never know, in Mexico. So that, you know, that made up for it basically. And so going to Brazil, happy to have the championship lead once again. So going towards the last 2 rounds, we're going to go for a major engine upgrade that will come in for the Abu Dhabi GP, and we're going to go for a chassis weight redistribution upgrade on the chassis side of things that will come in for Brazil hopefully to next race. So we'll have 1 upgrade in Brazil, a minor one, and then for the finale we'll have a major engine power upgrade, which will be very useful for us. As Abu Dhabi is actually quite a compromising circuit, and I like to run a bit of aero to help us out in sectors 2 and 3, but we need power, engine power for the main straight and sector 1, so that will come in handy, and so it'll be a good way to end off the season, the championship fight, with a major upgrade like that. But you can see the engine is quite worn, but we're doing some very delicate management, and we're just about managing to keep a good engine in check for the race here, and so we'll do the same thing at Brazil again. But guys, if you did enjoy that episode, be sure to smash that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you are new around here to subscribe for weekly full-on content, we go marching on. 2 more rounds to go in this championship fight on towards Brazil. Till next time, guys, hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye.